Today we're diving into Fisher's transaction approach, a cornerstone of monetary economics. This theory helps us understand how the value of money and price levels are determined in an economy. Developed by Irving Fisher in the early 20th century, it remains highly relevant for students and professionals alike. We'll break down the theory's origins, its core formula, key assumptions, and its real-world impact. By the end, you'll have a clear grasp of why Fisher's ideas matter and how they shape our understanding of money's role in the economy. Let's start by meeting the mind behind the theory. Irving Fisher, born in 1867, was a pioneering American economist and statistician. He's celebrated for introducing mathematical and statistical methods to economics, making the subject more scientific and precise. Fisher's most influential work, The Purchasing Power of Money, published in 1911, laid the foundation for the transaction approach. His equation of exchange became a fundamental tool for analyzing the relationship between money supply and economic activity. Fisher's legacy continues to influence economic thought, especially in the study of inflation and monetary policy. The heart of Fisher's transaction approach is the famous equation of exchange, MV equals PT. Here M stands for the quantity of money in circulation, V is the velocity of money, how often money changes hands, P is the average price level, and T is the total volume of transactions. This equation elegantly links the money supply and its movement to the value of goods and services exchanged in the economy. It's a simple yet powerful way to visualize how changes in money supply can impact prices. Let's look closer at each part of the equation. M is the total money available in the economy. V, the velocity, measures how quickly money circulates. P is the average price of goods and services, and T is the total number of transactions. The equation tells us that the total money spent, MV, must equal the total value of goods and services sold, PT. If the money supply increases but V and T stay the same, prices must rise. This is the basic logic behind inflation in Fisher's view. Fisher's theory assumes that the economy operates at full employment. This means all available resources are being used efficiently, and there's no significant unemployment. Under these conditions, any increase in the money supply doesn't lead to more production but rather to higher prices. This assumption is crucial because it sets the stage for understanding how changes in money affect price levels rather than output. Another key assumption in Fisher's approach is that the velocity of money, or V, remains constant over time. This means people spend money at a steady rate and the frequency with which money changes hands doesn't fluctuate much. By holding V steady, Fisher could focus on the effects of changes in the money supply itself, making the theory easier to apply and understand. Fisher also assumed that the total volume of transactions, T, remains constant in the short run. This means the number of goods and services exchanged doesn't change quickly. By keeping T constant, the theory isolates the impact of money supply changes on price levels, rather than on the quantity of goods produced or sold. Fisher's model works best in a stable economy where external shocks are minimal. This means there are no sudden changes in technology, policy, or consumer preferences. Stability ensures that the relationships in the equation hold true, making the theory a reliable tool for understanding money's effect on prices. One of the main functions of Fisher's transaction approach is to explain inflation. When the money supply increases but the velocity and number of transactions stay the same, prices rise. This direct link between money supply and price level is a powerful tool for understanding why inflation happens and how it can be controlled. Fisher's theory provides valuable guidance for policymakers. By understanding the relationship between money supply and price levels, central banks and governments can make informed decisions about monetary policy. For example, they can control inflation by adjusting the money supply, using the equation as a reference point. Fisher's transaction approach forms the foundation of modern monetary theory. It's one of the earliest and most influential models explaining how money affects the economy. Many later theories, including Keynesian and monetarist models, build on Fisher's insights, making his work a crucial starting point for anyone studying money and banking. The equation of exchange is a practical analytical tool for economists. It allows them to predict the effects of changes in money supply on prices and economic activity. By adjusting the variables, economists can simulate different scenarios and advise on policy measures to maintain economic stability. One major advantage of Fisher's approach is its simplicity. The equation is easy to understand and apply, making it accessible to students and policymakers alike. Its straightforward logic helps clarify the relationship between money and prices without unnecessary complexity. Fisher's theory is quantitative, meaning it uses numbers and measurable variables. This makes it possible to test the theory with real-world data and apply it to practical economic problems. The quantitative nature of the approach is one reason it's still widely taught and used today. Because Fisher's approach links money supply directly to price levels, it's highly relevant for policy decisions. Central banks can use the theory to set targets for money supply growth, aiming to keep inflation in check. This direct connection to policy makes the theory especially valuable in practice. A key criticism of Fisher's theory is that its assumptions are often unrealistic. In reality, economies rarely operate at full employment, and the velocity of money can change due to various factors. These limitations mean the theory doesn't always match real-world conditions perfectly. Fisher's approach focuses mainly on the money supply and velocity, but it doesn't account for other important factors like changes in technology, consumer confidence, or government policy. These can all influence prices and economic activity, sometimes more than money supply alone. The theory is best suited for the short run where its assumptions are more likely to hold. Over the long run, economies change and variables like velocity and transaction volume can shift significantly. This limits the theory's usefulness for long-term analysis. Fisher's transaction approach has had a major impact on monetary policy worldwide. Central banks in many countries use similar models to guide decisions about money supply and inflation. The theory's influence can be seen in the way modern economies manage their currencies and control price stability. In academic circles, Fisher's theory is a foundational concept. It's taught in economics courses around the world and serves as a stepping stone for more advanced theories. The clarity and structure of the transaction approach make it a favorite among educators and students alike. Fisher's ideas have sparked debate and further research in economics. Critics and supporters alike have built on his work, leading to new theories and models. This ongoing discussion keeps the transaction approach relevant and ensures that it continues to evolve with the field. Today, Fisher's transaction approach is used in various ways, from academic research to practical policymaking. Economists use it to analyze inflation trends, forecast economic changes, and advise governments on monetary policy. Its adaptability ensures it remains a valuable tool in a rapidly changing world. Fisher's approach is often compared to other monetary theories, such as the Cambridge cash balance approach and Keynesian models. While each has its strengths and weaknesses, Fisher's focus on transactions and the direct link between money and prices sets it apart. Understanding these differences helps students appreciate the diversity of economic thought. Some critics argue that Fisher's model oversimplifies the complex nature of economies. By focusing mainly on money supply and velocity, it may miss important dynamics like credit creation, financial innovation, or behavioral changes. Recognizing these limitations is important for a balanced understanding. Testing Fisher's theory with real-world data can be challenging. Variables like velocity and transaction volume are hard to measure accurately, and external factors often disrupt the relationships in the equation. Despite these issues, the theory remains a useful starting point for analysis. Economics has evolved since Fisher's time, with new theories addressing the limitations of the transaction approach. Modern models incorporate factors like expectations, credit markets, and international trade. Still, Fisher's core insights about money and prices remain influential. Fisher's theory is often used to explain episodes of hyperinflation, where rapid increases in money supply lead to soaring prices. Historical examples like Zimbabwe or Weimar Germany show how unchecked money creation can destabilize economies, supporting Fisher's core arguments. Central banks often rely on principles from Fisher's transaction approach when designing policies to control inflation. By monitoring money supply and its velocity, they can adjust interest rates or reserve requirements to maintain price stability, demonstrating the theory's practical value. To recap, Fisher's transaction approach offers a clear, quantitative explanation of how money supply affects price levels. Its equation of exchange, simple assumptions, and policy relevance make it a foundational theory in economics. While not without limitations, its influence on both academic thought and real-world policy is undeniable. Fisher's transaction approach remains a vital part of economic education and policymaking. Its insights into the relationship between money and prices continue to shape how we understand and manage economies. Whether you're a student, policymaker, or curious learner, grasping this theory is essential for navigating the world of finance and economics.